cool?
Yeah, cool.
You think it's cool?
It's cool.
It's not cool. It's commie bullshit.
Love the Cold War holdover attitude.
He isn't to consort with his computer friends. The Secret Service is really out to get him. Hey, there's a big party tonight. You want to go?
You know, Freak's a bit of an ass.
Agent Gill from the Secret Service interrupts Plague's playtime to suggest Dade might be a suspect.
After politely asking him to have a chat, Plague motions for the agents to leave and lays on the "I know what you're going through" speech on him, painting him all the more like a villain attempting to lure a good guy to do bad things.
Shit!
Well, that's a shame, but he can pick up a new boombox from Electric Avenue.
Maybe once he gets it, he should place it higher.
After a productive dream, he goes to Kate's party as Freak's +1.
Yo, check this out, guy. This is insanely great. It's got a 28.8 BPS modem.
Wow. There was a time when those were the shit. Screens don't do that.
This girl I know needs some shelter, but she don't believe anyone can help her.
After Kate watches Dade on her computer, they challenge each other to a hacking competition to harass Agent Gill, backed by the music of Prodigy.
Seriously, why is he necessary?
Here's something interesting. Agent Gill's social security number is listed as 874328300. Now, prior to June 25, 2011, the highest starting trio in a social security number was 772, so this was an impossible number to have. Here are some other invalid numbers.
It's great to learn, because knowledge is power.
Who the hell keeps doing that?
Okay, listen, we need a gimmick. The gimmick fairy gave us this. Let's run with it. I mean, gamer score.
Oh, I see what you did there!
Yeah.
Oh, that's not funny. Yes, it is.
Since Dade killed Agent Gill in the records, the game ends in a tie, after which an amendment is made to the bet. This change in the stakes has a stimulating effect on Miss Libby.
Oh, I need to wash my eyes out with bleach.
Like the Queen giving the apple to Snow White, so too does the Plague give an apple to Dade, along with a bit of advice to tell him what he wants to know.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Seriously, how is he not the killer's voice in Scream?
Joey's mom, meanwhile, cuts him loose from his grounding. He, like an idiot, decides to tell Freak what he did, oblivious to the tale that Ramon quickly spots.
And now that he's involved, Freak freaks.
La computadora de mierda! Que te dije de no estar jugando con esa computadora de mierda! What are you waiting for? Arrest me already!
You know, I'd call that a stereotype, but it is so right on that I can't bring myself to be mad at the writers.
Freak downloads a bunch of exposition on Kate, who then grabs Joey's discs from the place where Freak put that thing that one time.
Guys, listen, we got a higher purpose here, right? A wake-up call from the Nintendo generation. We demand free access to data. Well, it comes with some responsibility.
Here the story takes the hero's journey sort of turn, specifically the refusal of the call. Of course, he can't tell anyone about his past, not yet anyway.
As overdone as this trope is, it's really taken its time to get here, so that we can feel for the character that much more. This isn't like Luke Skywalker heading off with an old friend of the family only to come back and find that his whole family has been murdered.
Given his past, he has genuine concerns about his family, himself, and even his friends, should he do what Kate asks of him.
Plague, being one step behind, believes Kate has the disc, and threatens Dade with an abduction of his mother that he can justify, having tweaked her criminal record. There was another movie that sort of hinged on something like this. What was it? Oh, yeah. That movie frustrated me. Almost as much as Starry Night.
Computers never lie, kid.
Famous last words. So many techno thrillers are based around that concept. But what the writers and the characters they create don't seem to recall is that computers are not responsible for the information inside them. Humans are.
Furthermore, even if this were to come to pass, surely there'd be some written or printed record, hell, even a backup copy of the files for comparison. This change, while possible, really does strain the limits of credibility.
So after agonizing for a while, he gives a copy of the disc to Plague.
Look at him. He runs like a Welshman. Doesn't he? Doesn't he run like a Welshman?
We're then treated to a montage of typing and code to mark the beginning of the third act. A problem with 90s movies was how pleased they were with their new technology, especially in graphics, which were all too often overused.
The one thing fascinating about the scene is the fact that this is probably the most accurate portrayal of hacking in the movie. It's showing a string of hex code with a bunch of, random bits of damaged data, and them working overnight trying to figure it out and repair it. There's no flashy images here or there. There's no use of screensavers in lieu of virus, to replace viruses. None of that. It's a bunch of kids on a computer messing with hex code and nothing more.
Plague becomes a Captain Planet villain when he confesses that he would rather cause an ecological disaster to get away with $25 million than leave to chance the opportunity that he and Margot could be exposed.
I don't know if this was intentional. Maybe this was kind of prophetic without realizing it. But this really does highlight the pull that oil companies have with the government.
You're killing us, Softly. Why did you have to make this movie so good?
On hearing from Nikon that they are now wanted, rather than go underground, Kate decides they need help.
From Razor and Blade.
You are going to need more than just 2 media icons like us. You need an army.
That's it. An electronic army.
We do not say this in jest. In 1995, the concept of an electronic army in a realistic sense was unheard of. Since the inception of Anonymous, and by extension WikiLeaks and Twitter, we've essentially become our own little brother.
Down in Grand Central Station...
Terminal?
Whatever.
Plague's file and copy the worm.
They institute Attack of the Screensavers while they send viruses through the supercomputer to buy Dade time to search for the garbage file.
When Razor and Blade finally get off their asses and send a worldwide call to attack, we're treated to more of that front projection action while flying through the Gibson. Not an easy scene to watch if you suffer from motion sickness.
What bothers me most about this scene is the fact that the music does not appear on any of the 3 soundtracks for this movie. It's some of the best in the whole thing!
Plague Knock stayed out of the running, but in a nice little twist, it's Joey who's left to download the remainder of the garbage file, thus completing his personal story arc, saving the day, and raising his worth in the eyes of the others.
And Plague's hubris is his downfall.
If the hackers knocked out the Gibson, and thus the virus, in plain view of a CEO who is not in cahoots with the Plague or Margot, why oh why is Agent Gill still going after Dade and the rest of them? The ships didn't capsize. Their actions arrested the process and reversed it.
Oh, that's why he was necessary. To get another yellow disc that had gum on it.
While the villains celebrate with some champagne, even though it sounds more like ginger ale, Kate and Dade are oddly kept together and interrogated together.
Agent Gill leaves them alone to get their stories straight, I suppose, when Dade's mom shows up, who he then threatens to arrest if she speaks to the press presence that he arranged.
Honestly, we did not go into this thinking there would be some heavy sociopolitical slant, but this movie was really very prophetic of things to come in a very subtle way. In an age where most information is either readily available or disseminated online, What then are the boundaries of personal privacy and governmental oversight?
Okay, let's wrap this up before it gets too heavy. Thanks to Razor and Blade, Serial broadcasts Plague and Margot's transgression worldwide. Dade and his friends are set free, presumably cleared of all charges, and the two finally have their date in a pool on the roof.
Later, they'd end up getting married. No, for real, following the release of this movie, those two actors were married for 3 years.
So, that's Hackers. What do you think? Does it hold up?
Honestly, it does. Perhaps even better than it did in '95. Disregarding the progression in the technology, the themes in this movie ring truer today than they did back then.
That age saw the birth of the DMCA, but now we have ACTA, SOPA, PIPA. Whatever your position on these acts, they are a part of our lives, digital or otherwise.
It's reaching the point now that the movie could legitimately be remade, just simply on a timeline scale, you know, the whole 20 years thing. But truthfully, that almost seems unnecessary. Beyond the futility of remakes for the sake of cashing in on an old idea, this is doubly so.
This could honestly, satisfactorily be re-released in theaters with no changes whatsoever. But if a remake must be done, it would have to be shot for shot. The interpersonal action, while it is flawed in a few places, is true to the supposed age of the characters. But, you know, let's be honest. I mean, this review really got away from us.
Yeah, God, it did.
I mean, we wanted to rip this movie a new one.
To shreds.
We were really hoping for a Thundercats effect, honestly. But what we got instead was a cautionary tale for our modern society. It's really no wonder that this has achieved cult status.
I mean, this is a really, really good movie. I wasn't expecting it to be. I remembered it being kind of good. I actually think it's better now that I'm older than I thought it was then, and I loved it back then. I mean, as dated as the technology is, it acknowledged that fact, and it owned the era in which it was made. But yet it still preserved a timeless cautionary message for those who would carry on this film, the message itself, to later years.
Seriously, though, I think, you know, we need to not be quite so heavy-handed with, like, the socio-political stuff like we were with this one.
Definitely.
I mean, we can't go into heavy politics like this all the time or we'll end up polarizing our audience and setting them, like, no, we don't.
And that's not our intention.
No, not at all.
Let's do something more fun.
Okay, do you have any ideas?
I don't know. I mean, I want to do something maybe kind of techie like this, but I mean, there's so many films out there, and you know, which time frame do you want to work with? I mean, I almost want to kind of redo this, but I don't know of any other really techie films from, you know, the early to mid 90s offhand.
Well, I don't know. Maybe we can take a walk around the complex, and maybe that'll get our brain juices flowing.
We'll have to wait a bit. I think maintenance is out there doing the landscaping right now.
Okay, well, you know, once they're done, you know, trimming the hedges, and once the lawnmower man's done, we can just...
Wait, what did you say?
I said once the hedges are trimmed...
No, after that.
Once the lawnmower man is... Oh...
I am my computer for all you give to me. Predictable errors and no identity, and it's never been quite so easy. I've never been quite so obvious. All I need to do is click on you, and we'll be joined in love. That I was glad it was over. You didn't have to cut me off. Think I like it.
Back at Cyberdelia, Joey's trying to talk about a hack he done, but is constantly interrupted by Serial and Freak, and then chastises... Fuck.